Let's say, पहिला चाहिँ मान्छेहरू were like, oh, you need to specialize in one thing, you need to be like this perfect, like एउटा कुरामा like तिमीले केही गर्यो भने चाहिँ you become successful, okay? But the world has like increasingly turned dynamic, okay? So you can't be just good at one thing and like hope that everything is going to be fine.
You also worked as a debate coach, right? So like, can you highlight briefly about what was it like? What was the role about?
So I've coached a lot of students like with debates and I always love talking to kids, I know, because I always think that there's so much to learn from them. Go in an environment that's small and like that has a very tight-knit community so that everyone can come together and do things, because I don't know, I just did not want to go to a big space. There you always have this potential of meeting someone new, of doing something completely different every single day. I mean, that's something that's like really exciting.
Okay, so do you have any tips for audience to manage all these activities alongside college application? Can you tell us a bit about yourself and your background?
I am currently studying at UPenn. I'm planning to major somewhere at the intersection of psychology, visual studies, and data. It's a very wide range of interests. So I'm always very confused about what I want to do. And right now I'm exploring a lot of different things. I think I'm being able to do that. Before going to the US, I just went last year. Before going, I studied like St. Xavier's. I studied like +2 biology, physics, and chemistry. Yeah, that's I think about me and my background.
Okay, so what inspired you to pursue your current field or project?
This so inspired एउटा like turning point no. It's more like I kept on doing stuff. Ani je kurama interest लाग्दै गयो, त्यही कुरामा I would like just do more. Jastै right now like I am more interested in like artsy side of things, like lights design कसरी गर्ने हैन, अथवा how does a theater play work, अनि also like what is the visual element of an art and how do people like perceive art भन्ने कुराहरु जस्तो हैन. So initially it started with like I'm always like very close to art and I've always been connected to art किनभने मेरो बाबा पनि artist हो. Ani then like I used to always read about it, but I never was I never thought I would think of it as a career path. It was something I always loved doing. Ani uta gaeपछि चाहिँ I realized that the scope for it is like very huge, that whatever I can imagine just exists and I can do it. त्यसैले चाहिँ I started like diving deeper into art and psychology elements. And I always like to see how people perceive art. So that's why I like to see the world through like lens of intersections of different fields.
Okay, that's really interesting. So what are you most fascinated about the campus?
About college, there are a lot of things. I know Penn is a very big space. Ani उता गएपछि चाहिँ के realize भयो भन्दाखेरि there is resources for anything I can potentially do भनेर. So if I want to, let's say like next year I'm working in a lab, it's called the Neuroscience lab. अनि त्यो ल्याबले चाहिँ के गर्छ भन्दाखेरि they try to look at like the brain को like behavior and stuff in response to like art अथवा different elements of aesthetics. Okay, जस्तै dance forms हरू भयो हैन. अनि like if I was studying in Nepal, I don't think I would be able to do that in Sunny. So उता गएपछि चाहिँ तिम्रो potential has no boundaries भन्ने कुराले चाहिँ एकदमै fascinate गर्छ. So I really like that element of being at Penn because there's so much to do. And every single day you meet like someone completely new, हैन. आफ्नै साथीहरु भेटिरा हुँदैन because like everyone is super busy in their own like thing. There you always have this potential of meeting someone new, of doing something completely different every single day. I mean, that's something that's like really exciting.
Okay, so do you have any tips for audience to manage all these activities alongside college application?
Um, uh, I think I am struggling myself right now. So it's a एकदमै difficult question. Right? Now, there are days when I feel horrible about myself because I've not slept. Right? No? Even last semester, I was like, I pulled like 2 all-nighters in a row, and it was like just the worst like week of my life. It's very difficult to try and find a balance. But also, I think people need to realize that you cannot always be perfect. There will be like points in life where you just slow down. But just like either Nepal I'm in a break. I'm like doing very little. Okay, I'm just chilling out, and everything. And I think right now is the time to do that for me. But when I get into like my grind and you go back to like pen like after a month, I will have to put that effort in. Maybe yes, it's bad to like wake up radbari, be unhealthy and stuff, you cannot always find that perfect balance. So you need to also give yourself a slack, because no one's perfect and everyone has to have this like up and down by down. So they're just like whenever you spend so much time on something, always remember to take a break later. Okay, so I personally follow that instead of being like always perfect. So it's a no.
Okay. So when did you think it was the right time for you to look for opportunities abroad?
Matse, okay, this is a crazy story. I've always wanted to do MBBS, no? When like ever since I was a kid. Ani, my parents were like, I was like the most obedient kid in my family. I know, ani my parents expected that of me. Ani, for like, I don't know, ever since I remember my doctor bunny, I was so specific. I was like, my neurosurgeon bunny, and then I started Mero plus two, like 11, 12, and did COVID by okay? So what happened was online classes took a huge toll on me, and I did not enjoy what I was learning. Plus, like, I think Nepal ko plus two curriculum is very, I would say, not updated enough. Ani धेरै कुरा you have to memorize, any things like that. And I did not like that aspect of like studying science and studying like hardcore STEM subjects. Ani त्यसैले मलाई चाहिँ I felt very disconnected with like with like studying to be a doctor. Ani मलाई चाहिँ like question myself कि what do I really want to be a doctor because I have deep interest for biology, or is it just for the namesake? Ani त्यतिखेर I felt like I just did that because that was expected of me and not because I genuinely wanted to do it. So I was like very confused, मेरो 11, 12 ma. And then I decided to take a gap year to just explore all of these options. Ani going to US seemed like the best option for me because I really liked the liberal arts curriculum. The like option to choose anything you can potentially choose on altogether. Like last semester I was taking like a psychology, अनि एउटा linguistics class, अनि त्यसपछि एउटा art history class, and then a random data science coding class, and like to get to study all of that together was a dream come true. So त्यो चाहिँ I think is something that like helped me figure out like I want to not stay in Nepal and like go to US specifically, because anywhere else in the world but in liberal arts curriculum there's a massive side, no, but in the US.
So like you're taking so many liberal arts subjects, right? So what is your long-term career goal?
I don't like to think of like long-term goals. There is also, at least not right now. Ani, I feel like because म चाहिँ सानैदेखि हुँदाखेरि I was so set on like म 18 मा I'll be done with my plus two, and त्यसपछि 23 मा I'll be done with like my MBBS, and then 27 मा this, 28 मा that, So because I was always so fixated on like talk, now I think of my long-term goals more in terms of like themes that I want to explore. Panale, just say last year I was more focused on exploring zoti huncha त्यति. Now I want to like deviate more towards like यही intersection of art psychology and like data. अनि त्यो elementsहरूलाई कसरी connect गर्ने भन्ने कुराहरूमा I want to focus more. अनि what is a field that would be nice to look into भनेर पनि. So I don't know, I don't exactly know where, but I know that it's at least going to be in some sort of intersection for me to like think of my long-term vision for like my life.
Okay, so how are you having your time at UPenn? Like how it is like for international students there?
UPenn is a very big school, firstly, होइन. त्यसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ it's very difficult to like just be with people किनभने सबैजना छ but nobody gets like के भन्ने, nobody gets like to care and love. It's not like nurturing, okay? So it's very much like resources छ, you have all the resources in the world. तिम्रो like तिमीमा depend, like ममा depend गर्छ how I would like explore त्यो कुराहरू भनेर होइन. अनि diverse चाहिँ एकदमै diverse छ because there are people from all across the world. अनि it's very nice to be in like that diverse place पनि because you get to hear about a lot of different perspectives. But at the same time, it's also very limiting in a sense कि because Penn is like an Ivy League school and it's also very much pre-professional. So everyone's like so sure about what they want to do. Everyone is like, okay, these are the things I want to accomplish. Ani, it's very like daunting sometimes kinabani because you've come from a different country. It's like US co students already know what they're like, what's expected of them, I know. Just say internships go down. So immediately after getting into college, like freshman year, like first week of college, everyone's already thinking about their internships and sunny. So that's very scary, especially for me. किनभने नेपालमा त त्यो culture छैन नि त. So त्यो switch गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ it's very scary to go in such a big school and be surrounded by such talented people, but also feel very lost sometimes. So मलाई चाहिँ when I initially went there, I felt a little lost in like के गर्ने अथवा what's like the end goal of my life भनेर.
Okay, so now let's talk about your application journey. How did you plan your common application?
Okay, so यसमा चाहिँ I was a part of this program called the Opportunities Funds program. So त्यो चाहिँ USEF Nepal भन्ने एउटा organization. So it's like US को एउटा organization in Nepal, होइन. So what they do is every year they select like 16 people. हाम्रो batchमा चाहिँ 15 थियो. To like guide them through the application process and everything, you know. So but say when I was like grade 12, I applied for it and I got selected. So this पछि चाहिँ I just followed what like they asked me to do अनि त्यसरी नै भइरहेको थियो. For मेरो चाहिँ priority मा चाहिँ मैले essay राखेको थिएँ because I asked a lot of people like what do you think I should focus on भनेर अनि सबैले चाहिँ मलाई तिम्रो first priority चाहिँ essayमा अहिलेदेखि work गर्न थाल भनेर भन्नुभएको थियो के. So I had started working on my essay from like I think June, immediately मेरो 12th को exam सकेपछि I started working on my essay. अनि त्यसपछि after that I was studying for SATs पनि. Just like college applications मा चाहिँ के हो भन्दाखेरि you can't choose to do like one thing for like एक हप्ता and then next thing for अर्को हप्ता. You need to do everything like together. So एउटा दिनमा you need to divide like time for like what you want to do भनेर. अनि a lot of people like tend to do like ECAs or आफ्नो gap year like to be like okay this is what I want to show to the college भनेर. तर मेरो लागि चाहिँ that was not the case. I wanted to do like least ECAs. I just wanted to do things I was like genuinely interested in. अनि मैले चाहिँ I think I was doing like a few things. अनि main focus चाहिँ मलाई applicationमा गरेर चाहिँ I was just focused on like doing these different elements, right? You know, letter of recommendations, essays, अनि SATs or like अरू कुनै language proficiency tests हरू. So I think that's how I went about just generally चाहिँ.
Okay, so what resources did you find most helpful while applying to colleges?
Okay, like I don't know if I remember most of the resources, I know, but I remember using a lot of के अरे, I remember reading a lot of essays online, I know, एउटा त अनि अर्को चाहिँ YouTube videos of like all of these different essays, I know. अनि म चाहिँ एकदमै धेरै essay just सुनिरहेको थिएँ because I also loved like essays because they're like there's like such amazing stories that they have to share, and it's always like so nice to, I don't know, see your essays like form about it's like they're telling their whole stories भनेर. So म खाना खाने टाइम पनि like सुनिरहेको थिएँ अनि अरू गर्ने टाइम पनि like सुनिरहेको थिएँ. अनि besides that चाहिँ I think there was like the college guy or something, and usko pani like videos huncha for like SAT preparations and that's really helpful. And I used this book, Barron's खै के भन्ने SATs को लागि, अनि त्यो चाहिँ was very useful because it was like a short guide to everything भनेको जस्तो. अनि once you read it, it's not like very thick, it's very thin, अनि it's like very basic, यो चाहिँ basic frame line हो भनेर. अनि once I read that book, I was able to do like really well, even though I did not do well in the actual exams, but it was very helpful.
So like, how did you decide which college to apply to? Was UPenn your first choice?
No. UPenn was not in the radar of colleges I wanted to apply to. मेरो लागि चाहिँ first priority with any colleges was say to sorry. मेरो लागि चाहिँ first priority was to choose like the best fit college for me. And a lot of people say like best fit भन्छ तर like you never know what's your best fit. तर I think it can be really helpful to know पहिला को गएको छ हुन्छ नि, and what sort of experiences they have had and things like that. So त्यस्तो हेरेर चाहिँ I like try to look out for people who had already gone to like specific colleges I wanted to go to. अनि म चाहिँ specifically I wanted to go to a small liberal arts college. So मैले ED1 चाहिँ विलियम्समा गरेको थिएँ. अनि it was like I really wanted to go there, but I didn't get accepted. But just like I wanted to go in an environment that's small and like that has a very tight-knit community so that everyone can come together and do things भनेर. Because I don't know, I just did not want to go to a big space. किनभने म चाहिँ after doing my 10th, I went to like do मेरो +2 St. Xavier's. And St. Xavier's is like very big in comparison to like मेरो school. And I did not have a great experience St. Xavier's. So I wanted to go to a small college त्यसैले. तर I applied to like 20 colleges, and it was like a mixture of a few safeties and a lot of like mid-tier colleges and then a few top-tier colleges. And out of all the colleges I applied to, I got waitlisted to a few, I got rejected from most, and I only got accepted to Penn. So it was like I did not have an option but to go to Penn. And I know that sounds like such a weird thing to say, किनभने like a lot of people dream of going to Penn, but मेरो लागि चाहिँ त्यो थिएन. अनि also like I applied to Penn very last minute because a friend of mine actually said me कि oh, I think Penn is going to be a great fit for you भनेर भन्यो. अनि I removed a very random college from my Common App and I just added Penn to the list. And it was so crazy किनभने I literally had no hopes from any other college. And the last application I opened was Penn ko and I got in. So it was like crazy.
That's really nice. So what was the transition from Nepal to US like?
It was एकदमै abrupt, अचानक भयो नि त. किनभने हैन एक्सपेक्ट त गरिरहेको थिएँ कि लाइक ओके म यहाँ जान्छु यो हुन्छ नि मान्छेहरू अनि जाने बेला everyone gives like 10 opinions, so everyone has told me यति धेरै. I don't think I'll have a hard time transitioning back with you. But once I reached there, it was like a completely like new world. Okay? अनि 1 महिना त I'm like in a vacation, यो कुन नयाँ ठाउँमा आयो जस्तो भएको थियो. अनि the worst part was चाहिँ I had a very difficult time with food. किनभने नेपालको like खानेकुराहरू are very different from what you get in the US. Ani Nepalमा चाहिँ it's like a lot of home cooked food and like it's very nice. No, that's it's very everything is processed and the food is so bland, like spices नै छैन. So it was like very difficult to adjust to the food. मलाई एउटा whole semester चाहिँ I just was trying to adjust to त्यहाँको food, and it was like super difficult, especially with food उता चाहिँ. अनि besides that चाहिँ obviously culture difference so you'll feel like weird. अनि because I went to Penn, it was also very difficult to like find people, even though there are a lot of people there's always like groups made, okay? So first week may groups are formed and it's very difficult then to like try and find like the people that you would vibe with. So you just stick to your group just to okay? So malai चाहिँ first meta it was very difficult to like understand what where everyone else is coming from, and especially because like I'm probably the only Nepali who went ni त यहाँबाट. त्यसैले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ उता जानु बित्तिकै चाहिँ it was like like मेरो 18 years of experience nobody understands it, okay? So म के खान्छु हुन्छ नि, म कसरी react गर्छु, म कसरी बोल्छु हैन, everything is very different नि त. So उता पुगेपछि चाहिँ it was I would say it was difficult, but also it was very रमाइलो पनि, किनभने you get to learn so much त्यहाँ बसेर हैन. तर yeah, it was definitely like difficult to like be there.
Okay, so what were your main academic interests in high school and how did you pursue them?
Academic interests चाहिँ I would say that I was focused on doing like MBBS नै, so I was like I'll do biology, physics, chemistry अनि I would to an extent मलाई त्यसमा interest थियो हैन, नभएको हैन, तर I just think that the environment that I studied त्यो त्यतिखेर was not good अनि त्यसले गर्दा I had to switch जस्तो भएको थियो के. अनि what happened in high school was I started debating. So मैले चाहिँ before like that हैन, हामीलाई त बच्चादेखि we're always taught physics, chem, bio, math हैन, अनि there are some social studies or some literature subjects that they're not very के भन्ने, they're not very what's the word, they're not like त्यस्तो prioritized नि त. So म चाहिँ debate गर्न थालेपछि चाहिँ I realized that there's so much more to study भनेर, okay? So मेरो लागि चाहिँ स्कुलमा पढेको academic गरेको कुराहरू भन्दा त्यसबाट चाहिँ मैले एकदमै कम सिकिरहेको थिएँ. But then through debating I was learning a lot because I was reading like books on economics and psychology and finance because there were different types of motions that I had to deal with. अनि like you never know के आउन सक्छ, okay? So there would be one day about feminism, the next day about finance, the next day about economics. So you need to be very like aware about all of these things that's happening all across the world. So त्यो पढ्दै गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ I thought that I was very interested in like learning psychology ko kuraharu and stuff. So I kind of started going in like that direction. Ani मैले चाहिँ my again goal was to like explore more. So I also like worked in like a research project. Ani that was more related to environmental research हैन. Ani just like I did a lot of things when I was in high school, but that was massively revolving around debates, ani revolving around I would say like anything and everything. But it was more like speeches centric अथवा एउटा more education को around धेरै कुरा गरिरहेको थिएँ. So that's why I thought that psychology was something I wanted to do. अनि they like use गरेर चाहिँ try to apply उता जानु पनि.
Okay, so can you share some of your significant extracurricular activities and like why they were meaningful to you?
Yeah, obviously debating becoming like one of the most important मेरो लागि चाहिँ, किनभने I think debating came to me at a time when I was like very oblivious about a lot of things. Ani त्यसले चाहिँ मलाई मेरो पर्सपेक्टिभहरूलाई चाहिँ कसरी क्वेसन गर्ने चाहिँ सिकायो एकदमै धेरै अनि then I also ended up like going like being the national team to represent Nepal in World Schools Debate Championship, which is like this schools-haruko debate World Cup kind of thing. Ani I went there ani I had a lot of like new experiences त्यसले गर्दाखेरि so as a whole, debating was like something I massively did. But then त्यो बाहेक चाहिँ I was doing a bit of research and I interned in like Fulbright. So त्यहाँ चाहिँ I handle like administration and social media को कामहरू अनि त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ I learned a lot about branding, about how to like what really matters भनेर I did not enjoy it a lot, but it was like a very interesting experience to know कि like मलाई चाहिँ के गर्नु छ अनि मलाई चाहिँ के गर्नु छैन भनेर अनि what else? I used to paint a lot, so I also sent like my art portfolio to colleges. Ani yeah, I don't know, like I was not planning to send it. Kinapani, I thought I never like officially did anything. It's एकदमै unofficial. I did it for like fun, chill. Go like ani मेरो baba asked me to like send my art portfolio, so I was like okay sure अनि मेरो art portfolio पठाएँ अनि I don't know, I think I did a lot of like smaller things जस्तै I used to be मेरो college को magazine को editor and things like that. So yeah, there were a lot of things I did high school now that I still can't believe looking back like I did like so many things. तर it was all like going on जस्तो नयाँ कुरा सिकिरहेको थिएँ गरिरहेको थिएँ अनि as जति धेरै opportunities आउँदै गयो त्यति धेरै I was like just taking them and doing things.
Okay, so like you have so wide range of extracurricular activities, right? So how did you manage that with the academics?
Okay, so I was more COVID batch, so that was way easier for me. किनभने both the years होइन COVID भयो. I probably went to college for like 5-6 months होला होइन त्योभन्दा धेरै गइनँ. So के भयो भन्दाखेरि a lot of things I did was happening online or like in person भए पनि अरू कुराहरू अनलाइन भइरहेको थियो नि त जस्तै क्लासेस अनलाइन भइरहेको थियो so I didn't have to worry about हुन्छ नि if I'll miss classes or if I'll miss something else भनेर okay so म academically पनि गइरहेको थिएँ अनि I was doing everything else so it was way easier for me to do things than I think it's for like अहिले because everything is shifted in person so you have to go to classes and make it on time to do different things otherwise timro attendance hamper गर्छ and all of that तर मेरो लागि चाहिँ like I did not really care about all of that.
So how did you start your debating journey?
म चाहिँ when I was in grade 10 मेरो schoolबाट चाहिँ there was like 2 teams who they were sending to like RVS debates अनि त्यतिखेर चाहिँ my school decided to send me अनि a group of my friends so हामी चाहिँ गयो अनि like त्यहाँ गएपछि चाहिँ I realized that debating as a space is not just about like one competition. It's like a lot more than that right? So okay there's like a whole community अनि नेपालमा चाहिँ there's debate network Nepal होइन अनि they have this whole community of people जो चाहिँ सबै tournamentsहरूमा आइरहेको हुन्छ and then it's like not just a one tournament thing but it's like a series of like events and tournaments and things like that होइन so त्यहाँ गएर चाहिँ I met a lot of people अनि like all of their perspectives inspired me a lot so I wanted to do it again and again होइन तर SE थियो so I couldn't take part in any ECAs that year because my school was very strict अनि so for a whole year I waited कि मेरो कहिले SE सकिन्छ अनि I'll go back to debating भनेर तर SE पनि भएन endमा because of COVID अनि then I ended up के अरे going to then I ended up going to like debates after like 11 मा हुँदाखेरि अनि it started with online debates so for like almost like 1-2 year नै मैले online debatesहरू गरेँ so that's how it went by.
Okay, so like, are you involved in DNN and if so what is your roles and what was your roles and responsibilities there?
म चाहिँ so like I think I've done a lot of things in DNN. First, I like obviously got involved as a debater. You go and give training sessions. So I was a trainer for some time. त्यसपछि मैले चाहिँ equity committee-मा पनि I worked a lot. So equity चाहिँ basically is there to maintain like the के भन्छ maintain like DNN as a safe space पनि. So म चाहिँ त्यहाँनिर I was doing that role. Ani eventually I also worked in the board of the DNN. Ani मैले चाहिँ before going to the US I just left because I couldn't commit as much time. तर yeah, that's how I did a lot of things, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so like you mentioned about the equity committee, right? So like how do you ensure equity and inclusion within the debate community at DNN?
It's a very like के भन्ने complicated thing किनभने हामीले चाहिँ safe space केलाई भन्छौँ भनेर चाहिँ it's a very like a very complicated term किनभने सबैको लागि safe space different हुन्छ नि त, especially because you're coming from so many different backgrounds हैन. अनि I think debateमा चाहिँ usually there's a lot of elite people coming in किनभने obviously they have a lot of access to these resources हैन. तर मेरो main role was चाहिँ how to make people feel comfortable even if they're not coming from the same background as like most amazing debaters are coming from and things like that, So त्यो चाहिँ it's a very slow process in a sense कि तिमीले यही measuresहरू गरेर हुन्छ भन्ने छैन. It can change according to different people, according to different perspective. तर हाम्रो चाहिँ main thing is say to ensure कि सबैले सबैलाई respect गरिरहेछ. अनि in case if there is any sort of breach that's happening in terms of respecting each other, then there's always going to be someone to reach out to भन्ने जस्तो idea, okay? So the same म थिएँ होइन, there were a lot of other people including me मेरो टिममा होइन, and we were always available for people who are like नयाँ, who are coming from a very like different background, who are facing challenges in the space to come and talk to. So त्यसरी चाहिँ हामी like try गरिरहेको थियो to like make sure that it's like it becomes a welcoming space for everybody.
Okay, so like there must be many students like you who wants to join DNN, right? So like how can a student participate in DNN?
Okay, so धेरै कुराहरू हुन्छ हैन. First चाहिँ debate आधार्स भन्ने प्रोग्रामहरू हुन्छ जसमा चाहिँ we go to schools and give them like a 2-hour session on like the basics of debating, like this is how it works, these are the things. अनि यो चाहिँ mainly चाहिँ parliamentary debating हो. So you get that basic session. अथवा there's a lot of like tournaments that happen throughout the year हैन, and you can go through their Instagram, Facebook हैन, and you can just get information. So you can just register आफैले पनि हैन, अथवा आफ्नो स्कुलको थ्रुबाट. अनि I think there are a lot of जस्तै अब भर्खर like next month say there's this tournament that's happening, it's called Vidushi. अनि Vidushi भनेको चाहिँ it's like specific to women and gender minorities. So they can only like participate in this like debate tournament, हैन. So त्यसरी चाहिँ there's a lot of tournament and a lot of activities that you can engage yourself with. अनि it's always going to be के भन्ने like केही न केही भइरहेको छ, okay? So you'll always have a space to get yourself involved.
Okay, so like what opportunities does DNN provide for students to enhance their debating skills and knowledge?
I mean opportunities पनि यही रेन्जमा हो हैन. मलाई चाहिँ I think the reason why I stick अहिले पनि म नेपाल आउँदाखेरि हैन, all of my friends are from DNN. I think it's all because हैन त्यो स्पेस चाहिँ त्यस्तो छ के भन्नाले every single time we meet we talk about like randomest things in the world हैन. तर it's very like intellectually stimulating conversations देखि लिएर what's like the best food to have in Kathmandu हैन. So you just find these diverse range of people and you can have like the everyday to-day conversation देखि लिएर. तर also there's like all of these tournaments you can go to हैन. अनि especially high school students हरूको र university students हरूको लागि चाहिँ there's like World Schools Debate Championship अनि World Universities Debate Championship भनेर हुन्छ, okay? So World Schools Debate Championship मा चाहिँ every year they send like 5 people to represent Nepal in like amongst अरू कति like 60-70 countries हैन. अनि then you can debate there and then you get back. So there's like a lot you can do हैन. अनि I think तिमी जति धेरै जे जेमा इन्भल्भ हुन्छौ त्यति नै तिम्रो स्किल सेट बढ्ने हो के सो यस वी ट्रेन पिपल यस वी गिभ अल अफ दिज इभेन्ट्स आउट होइन अनि ट्रेनिङले मात्र गर्यो अनि इफ दे डोन्ट डिबेट देन दे आर नट गोन बी एबल टु युज इट बट दे सो लाइक दुइटै इज इम्पोर्टेन्ट अल अफ दिस थिङ्स द्याट वी डु इज इम्पोर्टेन्ट
So like how long were you there in DNN?
Okay, so I started in 2020, so it's been like 3 years, and this I left, so I was not like just still available. So 4 years.
So like within this 3-4 years, can you share some success stories or stories in DNN like that you still carry with yourself?
So मलाई चाहिँ so 2 years चाहिँ I was in Nepal's national team to represent Nepal होइन मेरो grade 11 मा अनि grade 12 मा पनि अनि त्यतिखेर चाहिँ I had like a very big like dream of like breaking अनि it's like so World Schools Debate Championship भनेर चाहिँ डिबेटको वर्ल्ड कप जस्तो हो क्या अनि त्यसमा चाहिँ के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि there's like qualifying rounds and then there's knockouts होइन so I always wanted to like make it to the knockouts and Nepal has never made it अनि अहिले चाहिँ I think it's been like 9 years that Nepal has gone to like World Schools Debate Championship होइन अनि both the years I tried like extremely hard and I couldn't make it तर like this year actually like yesterday नै the team went to Serbia and they finally made it होइन so that's like one of the really biggest like success stories भन्दा हुन्छ अनि plus like personally भन्नु पर्दाखेरि चाहिँ I went to like Asian school world school debate championship भन्ने and that we won होइन as a team so that was one thing that I was like super proud of because I was able to like do that भन्ने you know so yeah there's a lot of like smaller success stories but also there's like a lot of large thing that we do and I think I because of like involved myself for like Barsa it not that long but like still a lot it feels very like I don't know it feels like really nice to see other people doing like better and अनि म जहिले नेपाल I get involved with like DNN को people अथवा even when I'm in US I'm always like talking to them होइन back and forth by down so it's always I don't know, there's always like some form of connection or some form of like connection that I have with DNN.
Okay, so like would you encourage anyone to participate in DNN or like, you know, do what you've done there?
Oh, अनि yes, obviously. तर okay, मलाई चाहिँ yes, I used to debate a lot and I extremely loved it when I did it, होइन अनि now I've come to a point where I've started like not debating a lot. अनि I think so मलाई चाहिँ personally के लाग्छ भन्दाखेरि debating is a skill अनि it's like about researching it's about learning to listen to अरूको perspective learning to share your own ideas about speaking and a lot of things together होइन so तिमीले चाहिँ यो skill set लियो भने चाहिँ it's always going to help you नि त you don't have to be like हुन्छ नि world champion this that होइन तर त्यो skill setsहरूमा चाहिँ if you get to learn a lot, that's great. But I also understand that debating is not for everyone. So if it's not for you, you can like use different other spaces to fulfill all of these basic skill sets develop गर्ने activities चाहिँ गर्नुपर्छ जस्तो लाग्छ and yes debates is always open for you but तिमीले decide गर्ने हो so once you go and do one tournament and like have that experience त्यसपछि चाहिँ you can decide कि like okay maybe I want to continue this or maybe I don't want to continue this like this is अहिले चाहिँ I've like stopped debating completely and I don't want to do it anymore किनभने I feel like I've come to a point where I don't think I can learn anything new होइन अब चाहिँ मैले सेम कुरा चाहिँ पढिराख्नुपर्छ to like work extremely hard in that अनि then only I can be like better in like debating as an activity okay तर त्यो basic skill set सिकिसकेँ नि त मैले so I think it's not as valuable for me they're especially for like high school students for like middle school students चाहिँ यो skill sets चाहिँ केही activityबाट आउनुपर्छ जस्तो लाग्छ
So like you also worked as a debate coach, right? So like can you highlight briefly about what was it like? What was the role about?
So I've coached a lot of students like with debates and I always love talking to kids, because I always think that there's so much to learn from them. So मलाई चाहिँ initially चाहिँ I was having a very tough experience in terms of being like कसरी चाहिँ सिकाउने अथवा because I'm not like a teacher नि त I'm just a coach so there's always a thin line के भन्नाले you also have to have like a form of authority there you also have to be very friendly and chill with them के त्यसैले चाहिँ मलाई चाहिँ coaching को experience that was very like enlightening because I got to learn so much from them personally पनि अनि also like I was able to know कि how do they react or like know like कस्तो कुरामा चाहिँ उनीहरूले कसरी react गर्छ अनि how should I respond अनि कहिलेकाहीँ चाहिँ you're angry नि त because I'm still a kid होइन so you get angry नि त धेरै कुरामा तर while dealing with them so you need to like kind of like lower down your anger and be more patient right so I learned a lot about like being patient and dealing with things किनभने यो skill sets त मलाई थाहा छ नि त यो गर्दा चाहिँ यो हुन्छ तर it's all about teaching this well अनि मैले जसरी सिकेँ अरूले पनि त्यसरी सिक्छ भन्ने छैन अनि everyone has like a different learning curve so त्यो चाहिँ बुझ्नु एकदमै important रहेछ
So like how did you go from debating to coaching?
I think it's a very like natural process नै किनभने everyone जसले चाहिँ debate गर्नुहुन्छ उहाँले चाहिँ eventually in fact there's no hierarchy in debating and I love this about debating होइन त्यो चाहिँ debate गर्नेले judge नि गर्छ judge गर्नेले debating नि गर्छ debate गर्नेले coach पनि गर्छ so it's all like you learn you start with debating maybe then you learn about judging you go and judge होइन you do all of these simultaneously के so मेरो लागि चाहिँ it was like for a long time I did not want to coach because I thought I was not ready for it. But once I like went to Worlds and had all of these experiences, I had this need to like share it with other people. So it's always like a passing on, giving back to community idea. So it was just very natural. I learned a lot of things and people invited me to like give sessions. Down when it started and then I started like coaching kids.
Okay, so now let's move from debating. What was the experience like in global leadership adventures?
Oh, okay, that was like a sad story because when I was COVID ke bela ho त्यतिखेर चाहिँ I applied for this global leadership program होइन अनि त्यो चाहिँ it was happening in Turkey अनि I was supposed to go there for like a month अनि stay there अनि learn a lot about like leadership अनि leadershipले कसरी help गर्छ भन्ने कुराहरू तर what happened was because of COVID like everything got shut down so I was not able to go so I had to do all of that online and online so it was very like different because I think I learned a lot from that space but I feel like I would have been able to like meet more people and like know them better if it was like in person अनि त्यही हो leadershipको कुराहरू चाहिँ it was more about things you already know like kind of किनभने अरू स्पेसेसमा पनि तिमी लिडर भएर काम गरिरहेछौ नि त तर it just gave you like a different dimension on like अरू वर्ल्ड भरिको अरू मान्छेहरूले चाहिँ लिडरसिपलाई कसरी लिन्छ त अथवा मलाई चाहिँ स्पेसली लाइक यो टाइममा चाहिँ युआर भेरी इन्सिक्योर अबाउट युर सेल्फ होइन अनि युआर अल्सो भेरी लाइक के भन्ने युआर भेरी इन्सिक्योर अबाउट कि लाइक म चाहिँ like I'm just like a kid भन्ने खाले फिलिङ्सहरू आउँछ नि त but then there are a lot of people who are like way younger than me and doing like such great things and they're like so brave to take that step okay so त्यतिखेर चाहिँ you start realizing what leadership is so much more than any age अथवा how old अथवा how like talented you are अथवा how much skilled you are अथवा how much experienced you are होइन there's a lot of other things that is valued in leadership and to learn that from other people who are younger than me, who are older than me was like really interesting.
So like what did you learn about the life and education of women in Morocco like during your internship? Can you highlight your internship as well?
Again, that internship happened online. So what we had to do was we had to like interview a bunch of Moroccan women who were studying Teta. And just to know ki like उनीहरूको experiences चाहिँ कस्तो छ होइन and all of that. And going into like all of these interviews, so I was thinking ki they're obviously they're going to be very diverse kind of people. But also I thought कि हुन्छ नि, it was very difficult for women to like succeed just tobacco, okay? Because like Morocco is not that developed of a country. Ani once I talked to them, मलाई त कस्तो relatable लाग्यो कि I thought their experience was going to be so different from my experience. तर their experience was so similar to my experience. So like Nepalमा जे भइरहेछ अथवा the problems that we're facing as women, especially in the field of education in Nepal, it's very similar to like उनीहरूको life stories पनि एकदमै similar छ हैन. Obviously like culturally एकदमै different छ हैन. अनि there are a lot of differences between Nepal and Morocco, तर the way they see like things are very much similar. अनि that was like very like amazing experience in and of itself. किनभने I could find a lot of relatability. अनि then I ended up like writing all of these stories हैन. अनि त्यो स्टोरिजहरू लेख्दाखेरि चाहिँ it felt so much I felt like okay म चाहिँ आफ्नै like आफ्नै स्टोरिजहरू लेखिरहेको छु जस्तो भएको थियो. अनि yeah, we worked in a group, so like all of our group members, we were like equally passionate about this. अनि the way we went about it was like very interesting.
So like this was a part of global leadership adventure itself. So I mean like how did you reach Morocco? Like were there other options as well, or like that was the program itself?
That was the program नै. Ani so basically you had to choose like a stream in Global Leadership Academy. So you could like choose climate change, a lot of education, and a lot of other things. And I chose to like look at women empowerment and education. So त्यो field I got to like go and like read more and learn more and research. So it was really nice.
Okay, so like how did it change your perception now? Like what were you like before the internship and like after the internship?
That's a very interesting question. Wow, I've not thought much about this. But I think मेरो लागि चाहिँ first I obviously got to meet these diverse range of people. So I got these people that I connected with as my friends, and later on, who were very inspiring. They were activists. They were like doing great things in all of their like areas and countries and spaces, तर सबभन्दा interesting कुरा from the project was that womenहरूको like हुन्छ नि problemsहरू, like the way we talk about it, it's very like it's very like we're always like talking about the underprivileged and things like that, right? अनि also like मैले चाहिँ के realize गरेँ भन्दाखेरि there are also like a lot of privileged people. Okay, अनि to be able to get education in and of itself is a privilege enough for a lot of people. So the way I know मान्छेहरू चाहिँ were so much accepting of the privileges that they have was a very like रमाइलो experience. किनभने हामी चाहिँ we always talk about the problems we have नि त, but then we also need to acknowledge कि हामीसँग यो privilegeहरू चाहिँ छ, अनि that's why we probably are a lot better भन्ने कुराहरूमा के. So there were like all the women I talked to हैन, they're also talking about acknowledging कि म चाहिँ privileged छु है भन्ने कुराहरू. त्यो चाहिँ that was very like रमाइलो because we always share like these trauma stories as women. Ani sharing ki like हैन मेरो लागि चाहिँ this experience was great किनभने I do agree that I come from some level of privilege. It was very nice to hear your line of thinking, especially when you're talking about any problems.
Okay, it's like now would you recommend any other person to like join Global Adventure Leadership?
Yes, definitely. And also like now it's happening in person, so it's like a lot better if you guys do it early. किनभने I think it's मेरो चाहिँ it was summerमा like ठ्याक्क 11 सकेपछि. So yeah, like you guys should anyone should definitely apply किनभने it's a very good leadership experience. You get to be in a different place, different country, and you get to learn so much. So जहिले पनि like whenever, I think traveling around the world is like something that teaches you a lot, so त्यसैले yes, definitely everyone should like apply for leadership programs.
Okay, so now like let's talk a bit about your experience at Front Row Theatre Company. So what was your role there and like your responsibilities as well?
यो चाहिँ अब धेरै भएको छैन होइन मैले जोइन गरेको सो once I got into Penn, I was debating for a while and then I shifted to try new things. I mean, that's when I landed on theater. अनि मलाई चाहिँ theater as a space चाहिँ धेरै नै रमाइलो लाग्छ because I've always been to theater to watch shows and everything. अनि नेपालमा हुँदा पनि I really wanted to get involved in theater तर I did not have the right environment I would say to get involved. अनि नेपालमा धेरै spaces पनि छैन त्यस्तो. So once I got into Penn, there was this theater group that I got involved with. And मैले चाहिँ मेरो first show नै I took a huge role. And it's called stage manager. And I had to like be on every rehearsals, be on like every single meeting, tech run, everything. किनभने stage manager is a link between actors अनि technical team. Okay? So you need to know everything so that you can relay this information in and out. होइन अनि so since मेरो first त्यो production it was like so massive नि त त्यसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ मलाई I learned a lot but also like it was very like intimidating because I had like rehearsals मा जानु पर्थ्यो every day from like 6 p.m. to like 10 p.m. 11 p.m. होइन अनि while doing like academics it's like it was very challenging तर त्यो experience taught me that I really enjoy like being in that space. So अनि त्यसपछि चाहिँ after doing that I worked in another production. I worked with lights अनि त्यो गर्दै गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ I learned a lot more होइन अनि त्यसले चाहिँ मलाई एकदमै नयाँ experience भयो अनि I definitely enjoyed that a lot. So I like wanted to join like their board. अनि त्यसमा चाहिँ I joined like a few months ago. And I'm like now the tech director who basically, so I'm responsible for basically handling everything that's related to tech from like lights, sounds, design. So I just need to like look after all of it.
Okay, so like, did you really think that you would be combining theater and tech, like taking up that role like before?
No, I never imagined myself in that space. So त्यसले गर्दाखेरि it was very like weird for me when I went in. किनभने I just had no expectations of it. I was like, I just want to try something new. तर once I went there, I think I would link it back to psychology and like how visual studies happens, होइन So मेरो लागि चाहिँ जस्तै यो light design भन्ने कुराहरू हुन्छ नि अनि how stage design गर्न मिल्छ नि so all of this is very much important किनभने that affects like the blocking of the actors, so how actors move around in the stage, that affects how like you as a viewer and audience looks at the stage and looks at this performance. So त्यो सबै एउटा performance एउटा rehearsals actingहरू भइसकेपछि चाहिँ what really makes your audience like look at things is like the way lights, set and sound are designed. Okay, so त्यो whole like concept like चाहिँ एउटा like bird eye view बाट हेर्न सक्यो नि त because I was like involved in tech. So for me I think that was a very interesting experience because the more I think about it, the more I'm able to see कि like मान्छेहरूको perception चाहिँ कसरी change हुन्छ through art. अनि again it links back to what I want to study होइन psychology, art and like all of this intersection मा के गर्न मिल्छ भन्ने कुराहरू. So that's why I don't think I'll work in theater long term, होइन तर I do think that the skill sets that I've learned in terms of like कसरी design गर्न मिल्छ एउटा space, that's very valuable in any like other like field पनि क्या.
Okay, so like adding on to your UPenn experiences, can you describe your role as an administrative assistant at Communications Neuroscience Lab?
Oh, so म चाहिँ I also have like a work study at Penn, so that basically means that I can work up to a certain hours, like 20 hours per week. I don't work त्यति धेरै तर I can work to earn money. अनि त्यो चाहिँ I initially did it just for that. तर like my main job is basically to handle like everything that goes on. भन्नाले I have to like look at all of like the reports, I have to communicate एउटा information to our like people, and then also have to like look at the finances अनि like manage all of that together अनि I have to like make reports for all of that. And I don't think that's a job that I enjoy the most. तर मलाई चाहिँ my main goal of wanting to work there was because it's like a neuroscience lab and I've wanted like my future meant I also see myself like going into research. So because there are a lot of researchers from like different fields, I know there are like, I don't know, there are more than 200 researchers that's going on in that lab, होइन त्यो मान्छेहरूसँग इन्टरेक्ट गरेर चाहिँ उनीहरूको एक्सपिरियन्स कस्तो हुन्छ भनेर एउटा लाइक पर्सपेक्टिभ लिन पनि गरिरहेको हो होइन. So that's one thing, and the other thing is obviously like because it's a part of like my work study, so I just had to find a job and like do it, so I just decided to go with it.
Okay, so like you have different roles, like you have some roles in theater, debating, coaching, and even in global leadership adventures and now neuroscience lab as well. So like how do you think your different roles complement each other and contribute to your personal growth?
First चाहिँ सबै कुराबाट केही न केही सिक्न मिल्छ. So you can always learn things from anything and everything you do. अनि I think अहिले चाहिँ पहिला चाहिँ मान्छेहरू were like, oh, you need to specialize in one thing, you need to be like this perfect, like एउटा कुरामा like तिमीले केही गर्यो भने चाहिँ you become successful, okay? But the world has like increasingly turned dynamic, okay? So you can't be just good at one thing and like hope that everything is going to be fine. Like अहिले त झन् like AI is replacing a lot of jobs and other things like that. So त्यसमा चाहिँ I think you need to have this dynamic, all-rounded sort of skill, and you need to have like one specific thing that you get better at. Okay, त्यसैले तिम्रो जस्तै मेरो personality development को लागि चाहिँ all of these skill sets are like helping अलि भन्नाले debate गर्छु, so I learned a lot how to speak and socialize with people, होइन. अनि then maybe through my research experience I learned how to write stuff, होइन. अनि कसरी, how is like a literature, like हुन्छ नि ish article very different from writing a research paper. अनि so all of these things, होइन. अनि त्यसपछि again like when I talk about working in theater and spaces like that, होइन, जस्तै लाइट्सहरूको कामहरूदेखि लिएर, that's very important while you're making painting. It's very important in photography, किनभने त्यो लाइटिङको प्लेसमेन्टले चाहिँ it really determines like light and shadow is everywhere. जस्तै art, like when you're sketching, it's very important to know where the light is coming from and things like that, होइन. अनि त्यो भनेको अब तिमीले घरमा बस्दा पनि like right now I'm sitting here, होइन. So मैले मेरो स्पेसलाई चाहिँ कसरी डिजाइन गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ that will be best for me भन्ने कुरादेखि लिएर. So I think all of these skills are very important to learning how you will like learning how you'll do सानो कुरादेखि ठुलो कुरासम्म, okay? You need to learn how to file taxes, you need to learn how to do this, how to do that भनेको जस्तै it's also another skill set. So I think that because of all of these different things I do, म चाहिँ I do have this like feeling of how I can deal with multiple people, but also like be able to like try doing things that are different from like my comfort zone pani.
Okay, so now like we've kind of come to the end of our podcast. So like one last question is, what would you like to advise like the upcoming high schoolers or like currently high school students? Like what do you think would be valuable for them at this time?
I would say that don't be stressed out. I know college applications is super daunting, especially after seeing like all these people go to like these great colleges, you feel like you're left out, or you're not. It honestly does not matter where you go to for college. What really matters is what you're interested in and what skill sets you want to build from that. Okay, so तिमी जता पढे पनि अथवा जता जे गरे पनि, you need to like know what skill sets you want to build, whether it's like college matter academically or whether it's through like informal settingsहरूबाट तिमीले यो skill sets चाहिँ कसरी लिन सक्छौ भनेर चाहिँ you need to focus more on that. So yeah, I think that's like the major thing I would want to say to everyone.
Okay, so like thank you so much for your time, and then now we have our team member like to wrapping up with a small appreciation gift from the production. So I'd like to call the team.
Yeah, sure. You can give that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you
Welcome.
so much for having me.